All right, we're going to tackle the landing page checklist. There's a lot of people that talk about landing pages, and there's a lot of kind of mixed feelings about where landing pages lay out. Technically speaking, landing pages and product pages should be more similar than they are different. Different approaches and a different layout, but definitely some of the same features should be both places. So what we're looking for is a landing page that's aimed at where the traffic came from. So bridging the gap between that ad or that affiliate link, whatever it is, should focus on a product category or brand. Specifically, a lot of the times we drive ads directly to product pages, which don't help because product pages don't actually have context on them. Sometimes it's a category in the product that you clicked on you can't even find on the first page. It's a really bad experience. Sometimes they just go to the home page and then you really don't know where you're at or why you're there. Or there's no context to why you clicked on that ad. So understand where it's coming from, what your ad was hoping to get, and where you're directing them. Have clear value props. Landing pages should have very clear value props. It should be pretty well laid out in a nice structure that's easy to read. Remember, mobile first on this guy. Understand what that looks like, bring them through a journey, tell them what their, if there's a CTA or there's an incentive that's in the ad itself, which they should all have, make sure that is up front and make sure it's very, very obvious. Um, they should answer all common customer questions. They should provide similar product or alternatives. They should contain content from the CTA of the source, crisp, clear, quotable copy, um, clear CTA involving the visitor, inviting the visitor to take an action. They should have pop-up embed or other offer to collect data. Should build trust with the brand. So when I go to a landing page, I'm looking for a couple things. One is a little bit of an overview that lets me know that it's a credible company. So I'm actually checking the URL. I want to make sure that it's actually on the company's website. Sometimes people will throw other links in there, different landing pages and stuff like that. I want to make sure it's the actual company. I care about whatever offer I was promised showing up as quickly as possible. Social proof I know is going to be handpicked anyway, so I'm going to have to dive deeper into that. I'm not super concerned about that. Do I get enough background about the company and the reasons for making something happen? A lot of people mess around with listicles. They perform pretty well. They perform better when they include other products in them. So there's different techniques for that. Some people say have the offer right above the page and buy now, limited supply, whatever, first um, artificial scarcity and urgency, that sort of stuff. I believe in the basics. I believe that a landing page should make it clear that it should be connected to the ad. I believe that it should lay out and talk to the customer like they're a customer. I think that if you do your job right on the ad, you have a lot of comments. People come in and people are just going through their checkbox and making sure things are legit. So let's tackle some of these questions, and I'll show you some examples of landing pages that we use that do all right for us. There's probably better ones out there, but it's having all the pieces together that makes sense. So, where did the visitor come from? What was the ad creative? What was the ad copy? What channel did they come from? Super important to understand these things. If it's coming from a paid source, Facebook, etc., what was the ad copy that drove them? What was the campaign that we drove them? What was the mindset that we drove them on the way through here? Does the ad copy matter? Like, what was over the ad copy? How does that relate? What channel did they come from? Are you driving traffic from multiple paid sources directly to a landing page? Is it multi-purpose across multiple? Are you making distinctions for that audience, etc.? Are you talking specifically to that audience? What does the landing page focus on? Focus on a product, a category, a brand, building trust, a sale at all costs. Does it focus on a specific persona from some of the ones we covered? People that don't know what the product is, people that have experience with a similar product, people that are looking to substitute out and find the best product. Um, all these are really important. We tap into some of these with our landing pages subliminally, so we make them in such a way that they make sense. So we showed the ad pages. I'm going to take a break now and I'm going to show you kind of what's up. So our ad library is these big bright guys that show up and then they go to pages that look like this. So one ad that says like naked but without the ticket, so it's bringing that back up. It's pulled a review that's very similar to this, that naked underneath and give you support, right? So we're talking about materials naked, trying to intro pair offers right here. Incredible deal, 60% off plus shipping. Make your choice, blah 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 blah. Underwear, so it's this whole naked feeling again here, and then we have the comparison across these guys. 3 real reasons why you need to switch. We got taking people to some reviews here. You've had enough. So value prop, value prop, value prop. Um, and then we've got them kind of all condensed together. Now, some of these value props may want to be reorganized in terms of front pouch is a good one, right? These are the various value props that we have throughout this. But if we look at our responses, we might want to make these a little bit different simply because front pouch and support. So we might need a little bit more about support on this one. So we're going to waistband and we're going to fabric, but we've skipped out on support. So we're missing a little bit of support here. We just mentioned it right there. So there might be a little bit more that we need. Support and separation is brought up multiple times. But could make it a little bit more obvious there. So that's the add to the landing page, and it's got some of the elements that are core there. We're looking at building trust, building a brand, sale at all costs, specific personas. So we're trying to figure out all this. When you find the one, you never let it go. So this is to another ad that we have, and we have it configured pretty much the same way, but give slight differentiation there. We got the same value props depending on what they click on in order to get them from point A to point B. When you click through to one of these individual product pages, you get your reviews, you get your disclaimer language here, and then these product pages actually function. We're going to go into these more depth, but this is like the next gap of like the landing page, the product page. So we have a bit for who they're perfect for. The founders, they're talking about the product. We go into what makes them different, leading in with micromodal, which we learned from previous lessons is the big differentiator of conversion rate and knowledge of stuff. A little bit of what's great for the wearer there, a little bit more personality, showing founder, showing off stuff, and then we have this personalization. Hey, Alex, as the owner, and then we have all the different FAQs in there that go back to like the big three for us. Those big three vendors before we get into reviews, and reviews are all there, and they're uh, super good reviews and they just load forever. And I mean, people write simply long, long paragraphs. So we've done a really good job of leveraging that kind of closed loop system so that we don't just get they're great. Like we get actual feedback from people all the way through. So on our landing page, we have all these things fairly well dialed in. It looks professional. There's building trust. It's a sale at all costs. No, but we do realize that everyone needs a bit of incentive to try something new. So we run a very aggressive strategy where we've come up with a number that makes sense for us, where we can afford to supply people with an intro pair in order to get them on board, and then they can give it a try for themselves, figure it out, and then come back and buy more. Does the landing page have a clear value propositions? Does the page force a narrative about the product or brand? Does it allow the visitor to learn about the brand or product organically? Does it have a goal of sale, build consistency? Curiosity, sorry. A lot of the times when I see landing pages, it's a long story that talks about, what happened, what changed, and kind of what we're doing differently. I don't think that's entirely needed. I think that long editorials like that usually get skipped over. On occasion they work, but it works for the right kind of audience. If you're grabbing someone from Facebook ads and traffic, get to the point as quickly as possible, show them what's up, give them a brief overview of what the difference is, and you'll be good enough most of the time. Just figure out how to blend that in so that the product page can back that up. Because ideally, the landing page isn't where you get someone to convert. As much as people talk about conversion on a landing page, it's terrible for a customer journey. A customer is going to go to the landing page and then they're going to navigate the rest of the site. They want to find out more about the brand. They want to see what other products they sell, and then they want to be able to make a decision, add stuff to a cart, and check out from there. So, thought process behind that, I think, is a little bit warped in terms of what we're currently seeing, where the landing page does function as a role, but it's more of an intermediate role in order to give you better direction and context as to what you should be looking at for yourself. Does landing page answer all the common questions? doesn't need to, but God, it really should. Does talk about who the product's a good fit for, who it's not a good fit for, alternatives that you stock, what makes it different, what's great for the purchaser, what makes a great gift, questions about sizing, variance, questions between sizing and variance, uh, questions about fit, use, transport, or where it shouldn't be used, shipping policy with estimates, warranty, return, refund policy. There's a lot of stuff that sounds like it should be on a product page, but if your goal is to sell on the landing page, that stuff has to be there. What we see a lot is a hybrid of a landing page that goes into a product. And I can show you some examples of those guys in a second here. So here's a landing page that we're actually in the middle of designing for the same intro pair. And we've got different elements that we're working on this guy, including a description here that tells you exactly about what the product looks like, um, who they're perfect for, about them, what makes them different, comparisons between them, great for the wearer. So similar to like what a product page is. And then we're also going to take a look at what our landing page looks like. So if I go into pages, we got landing one. We'll take a look at landing naked. So similarly, we have the big quote up front. We have the intro parent. We now have the product included in here in terms of the different products that are there. And then it goes more into the same stuff that we had before. But it's well articulated now and then kind of takes us into the end here. So what we're looking to do is to build people up where they get an instant reaction to what they can do. They know that we saw other things. And then when they click on this to find out more information or they want to learn more, view full details, the options there, that's going to drop them on the product page similar to the one that we showed. For us, it's important to understand to make things as easy as possible across the board. So we're looking for contextual nature on every one of the product pages to understand the difference between different models we have, make it easy to understand sizing. So for instance, we do everything by waist size here rather than sizing, which makes it a little bit easier for people that are trying to get intro pairs as they get started with our brand. They can take a look at their sizing when they receive this pair and then they can figure it out from there. Um, so different methodologies to make stuff come together. And then a lot of this stuff gets dropped on the product pages after that. However, if you are sending a bundle or trying to get someone to convert directly, you need to answer all these questions about warranties, return policies, refund policies, etc. That stuff needs to be there. A lot of landing pages don't have that, and as a result, they do not work as well as I think people want them to do because they're so focused on some degree of an offer special, etc., that to get people to do stuff monetarily that they don't allow that same offer to exist outside when people need more information. So when people complain about like a low return on ad spend or something like that, it's usually because there's not enough details on that landing page in order to give people what they need in order to make a conversion happen. And landing pages shouldn't serve always to just convert. They should serve as being a bridge to get someone to a product page or a collection page in order for them to take it a step farther. So does the landing page connect with the CTA of the source? Is the theme carried over from the source to the landing page? Is landing page direct to a product page collection page? So some things to talk about here. So CTA, whatever that CTA is, if it's an offer, make sure your landing page hits that offer. Sometimes they'll have an offer and an ad and it will go to a landing page or a product page that does not have that offer. Bad. It happens. Sometimes changes are made, people make changes in ad account, things don't link properly. It happens actually more often than you think. So it becomes a disjointed experience. I've actually clicked on ads where they don't go anywhere. Imagine that. Your whole like CTA takes you to nowhere, to a dead end page or a page that doesn't exist anymore. It's crazy, but it happens. People spend a lot of money on this stuff, and that still happens. Landing page direct to a product page. What does that look like for you? Like, what are you doing to push someone on a product page? Are you well known enough where people know exactly what you sell? Nike gets away with this. A lot of other brands that are smaller just don't. In fact, I would never do it. We used to test stuff to product pages and home pages, and all in all, we realized that landing pages provide for a better experience for everyone. So when you're looking at doing this, spend the extra time on the landing pages and the product pages and really drill into how to build a journey for someone as they are touch points. Does the CTA from the source transition to the landing page with direction? Sometimes they do not. Sometimes you need to have a CTA that commands someone to take action. And then once someone clicks on that CTA, they should get to the next location and they should be able to take action. You shouldn't be hiding the ball from them. It should be very easy for them to move to the next logical step, which under most circumstances should be to learn more about what you sell or make a purchase happen. So just figure out what that looks like. Does the landing page have crisp, clear, and quotable copy? Are the words easy to understand? Are buzzwords kept to a minimum? Can anyone reading the copy understand what it means? Would someone quote your copy to explain your product? Does your copy entertain? Copywriting is a skill. A lot of people go overboard with it though, and I really do think that you should make things as simple as possible. One of the tricks is to read everything out loud. If you read everything out loud and go through the process, you can quickly understand how easy it is for people to understand what it is that you're selling. Buzzwords. I've mentioned this in previous lessons. Buzzwords are tough because they mean something to the brand. They don't always mean something to the customer. So keep them to a minimum. Make sure that everything is like easy to understand. Um, can anyone that reads your copy understand what it means? That's a big part of all this is making copy that everyone can understand and is easy for people to follow. Too many times people try to confuse stuff, use flowery language or something else, and it doesn't actually give you any value. It's kind of similar to news articles that you read these days, where 80% of the article doesn't really matter, and really they could have summarized it in 10% of the words or 20% of the words. Would someone quote your copy to explain your product? Does your copy entertain? Two biggies on this one. One is, are you memorable and do you make people laugh? If you make people laugh and you're memorable, you're going to get a lot farther than people that don't make people laugh and aren't memorable. So when you're putting together these things, use your catchphrase or whatever it is that reinstills values across your entire things in order to like drive that cohesiveness. Um, but at the end of the day, it's kind of really about your CTA and your offer. Does the landing page lay out where to head next via CTA? Is the action clear where the person's supposed to go next? Does the CTA invite the person to take the next step? That's the call to action. Is the action clear where the person's supposed to go next? Yes, you should be directing people to take advantage of a bundle that exists or take advantage of an offer that exists and drive them to a product page. That's where you should be taking people. If it's a collection that you're going to, you should take them to a landing page with that collection on it that shows context between what's being put out there. Far too often, I go to collection pages or I click on something and it's just a row of different products, and there's no context as to why I'm being shown this row of products. Just it doesn't work a lot of the times. Like when we think about basic navigation and things like that, there needs to be context between the products and why I'm being shown stuff so I have a better understanding of what products can be a right fit for me. Or if there's two options, explain the difference between these two options. Some companies will do a comparison between different products. A lot don't, though. So a lot of times I find myself on websites, specifically in the golf space, where there'll be a quarter zip and there'll be a hoodie, but they'll be made of different materials, but they won't always list the differences between the materials, the sizing, and everything it fit. It makes things very, very difficult to do. And a lot of the times when I go on some of these pages, they'll have one product, but they will not show similar products that they have in that category and explain the contextual difference between those either. This is a huge problem for people shopping online. It's not like I'm walking in a store and I can touch, 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 touch. It doesn't work that way. We're going to get more into context on the product pages, but if you're going to a collection page, it's got to be there. And there's got to be some degree of like, this is where you're taking me next, and this is why. Does the landing page have an offer in exchange for information? I've been bullish and big on this. If you're going to provide an offer, you should be collecting some degree of information. It's called a value exchange. They clicked on your ad in order to take advantage of an offer. In order to take on a bigger offer or get something else or bring them into an email list, exchange something for some more data so you have an understanding of the quality of traffic coming from that source, that ad, that campaign, etc. Super important things around this. And I'll show you kind of how we tackled this in platform because we didn't know the quality of the audience that was coming from specific ads. So when we were looking at ads, we were a little bit lost. But for instance, this one had a 2.41 ROAS. only a couple answers, but I can see essentially where people are coming from, what features matter to them, and what ended up leading to conversion. So I can go through this process and really work my way through understanding where people are fitting in through all this. So it's important for everyone to figure out what this looks like and collect data relevant to the individual ad copy and what's driving people to that landing page so we can better figure out the quality of the audience and be able to understand what matters to them and build out these landing pages even better. All right. Does the landing page have an offer exchange for information? We just went over that. Help personalize the journey. Is it easy to sign up? Easy is the sign up easy to understand? Is the sign up and furtherance of learning about the product? This is more of the data collection. If you're driving traffic from the top, you need to be able to qualify that audience. You need to figure out things about them coming from that audience. And does the messaging in the ad match up to the signups coming from the landing page? On the landing page, what can we do to build a journey that's going to get people to better convert? Now, we showed this before, but here's the reality of the situation. The landing page is getting a lot of views, but its subscriber rate's okay, but its conversion rate's lower than everyone else. A couple things going on here. The offer is different from the offer being presented in the pop-up, but something tells me there's probably a gap in these guys' journey going from landing page to product page and something else. So we need to look into what this specific problem is relevant to the conversion rate and figure out how do we isolate this group of people that are signing up really early on and build a better journey for them in order to get this rate higher or at least as high as these other rates because everything else is 35% plus. So the conversion rate works on a journey similar to the quiz, where you take a quiz and you get in, and then you have contextual landing pages. This landing page looks like it's a little bit skimpy in terms of what that journey looks like. So something for us to focus on, real numbers, right? And real data that we can go look back on, identify our data that's coming through, and then make some changes to that landing page in order to increase the conversion rate. Like I said, no, we're not perfect here. This is a list that I still use to this day to make sure that we're making ready improvements to our existing customer journey. We do a lot of things really, really well, and at our high, we get like a conversion rate of right around like 7, 8%, but there's always room for improvement. So we've got our offer in exchange for information. That's going to be via a pop-up or an embed or something else that we throw on there. We want to make it clean and it needs to be related to making a purchase. So everything needs to be about learning and feeling confident in making a purchase. A lot of stuff missing on that landing page that needs to be there is warranty, guarantee, and stuff like that. So I got to go back through them and then just rearrange that and see how that looks. Um, does the landing page build trust with the brand? Is it clear who's behind the brand? Is it clear why they created it? Is it clear what lifestyle they subscribe to? Does the brand show through via the tone of the brand? Our old landing pages were a little bit better. They had a video of the founder talking about the individual different products. They had a little bit more depth. As we've grown, we've run into resource constraints of not putting that up there. I would 100% put a video on your landing page though. Tell people what it is, take them through it, thank them for being there, personalize that experience a little bit more and as much as you possibly can. Give them a taste of why the brand exists, why the products exist, and why the offer exists. Those are like the three things: why the brand exists, why the product exists, why the offer exists. If you can distill those down and relate to people in a very relatable fashion, I hate to use the word twice, but that's really what it is. It's about figuring out how to tap into who you are as a person that stands for this brand and be able to talk directly to your consumer that's decided to click on your ad and come to your website. There's a lot of room here for improvement across everyone's landing pages. I think a lot of landing pages are entirely weak. Only weaker things are the product pages, which we're going to cover next. That's where the biggest gap exists for most companies. So as we're going through these lessons, we've gone through a lot of stuff. We've gone through audience, we've gone through creative, we've gone through pop-ups, we've gone through pop-up offers, we've gone through the landing page now. And now after this, we're going to head into product page. Product page number one is going to be the biggest room for gains for most e-commerce websites. It is honestly one of the things that people forget about the absolute most. And looking forward to going through some more of these questions with you guys and share about how we can all do a little bit better.